different people what love is, and you'd probably get 100 different responses. And sociologists and psychologists would tell us that love is a basic human need. It's just built in from the time you're born. The need to love and to be loved is just a part of who we are. We're driven by love. We're driven to love. I think you could even say that at times we're driven away from love. Probably no subject ever discussed among human beings has been more captivating and more elusive than the topic of love. And yet every generation will write about it, and every generation will sing about love. So the question that I ask you today is, how would you define love? What is love? Because if you and I do not have our own definition of what love is, our American culture will come along and give us a definition of love. And just think about this. In a culture that pays a man more to hit a little white ball into a hole in the ground than teachers or the President of the United States, maybe we ought to get a second opinion about something as important as love, right? And maybe in a culture where I can sue you for the fact that I spilt my coffee, then maybe we ought to get a second opinion about what love is and not just take it from our culture. And John Gibson, Pastor John, stand up. In a culture where a man with a perfectly good head of hair shaves it, while I try to hang on to the little bit I have, I think, you can sit down, I think we can get a second opinion, right? I think we need to get a second opinion on what love really is. In the next several Sundays, we're going to get a second opinion from the Bible and ask, what is love? This week we talk about love versus feelings. If you pay attention to what our culture is saying that love is, our culture says love begins and ends with feelings. If it's true love, then you'll feel it. And if you don't, or if you stop feeling it, then that must mean that you aren't in love or you're not in love anymore. We hear it enough in our culture that it almost starts to make sense. And I say, it makes sense. How can I love you if I don't feel it? How can I act lovingly towards you? If I don't feel love, how can I give love? And that only makes sense if the conclusion that we come to is that love is defined by feelings. For example, last summer, Kimberly and Anna was about 1.5 years, we went to Mackinac Island. Beautiful place. I love that place in Michigan. We had a really nice time until that evening. Because when you take a 1.5-year-old and you mix in no nap, and then you mix in waiting too long to eat, you have a toddler time bomb waiting to explode. And our toddler exploded right in the middle of a quiet little Italian restaurant. And we had just placed our order, and they were preparing our food, and all of a sudden, Anna begins to cry. And it quickly escalates to an all-out scream. Red-faced, her mouth is wide open, tears coming down, snot all over the place. And the people in the restaurant are looking at me as though I just beat her. I did not. I wanted to, but I did not beat her. And I began to sweat profusely out of embarrassment, and so I picked Anna up and I said, Kimberly, you stay and eat, and I took Anna out to the street. And on Main Street of Mackinac Island, I just walked up and down because you can't get in your car because the car is clear across the lake, and so I had to just walk up and down the streets. And nothing calmed the child. And at one point, there was a couple walking in front of me, and it was a husband and a wife, I guess, and the wife looks at the husband and says to him, but looks me in the eye as they say it, that she says, why doesn't that guy do something about that kid? And I thought, let me show you what I'm going to do to you if you say another word. This is not fun for me. I'm not doing this because I enjoy it. And Kimberly must have had a really nice time in the restaurant because 2 hours later, I swear it was, she came out and she rescued me and she took Anna and we got in line for the ferry, and Anna's finally calmed down enough to be in the hyperventilation stage. You know where kids do that thing where they go really pleasant. And Kimberly is taking care of her, and I'm packing up the stroller and the backpack and the diaper bag and the 2 umbrellas and 3 jackets, and I have all this, and they call us on board, and Anna and Kimberly go ahead, and then the stroller comes undone, and I trip, and everything goes every place. And Kimberly and Anna go on without me as though it never happened. Now, Kimberly says that she didn't see me. Yeah, right. She could have heard me. I wasn't saying pleasant things. And then one godly person was in line, because if there was a godly man or woman in that line, they would have helped me pick the stuff up, but everyone just was, stepping over me as they go. I finally get on the ferry, and I see that Kimberly and Anna went to the lower deck, and I deliberately went to the upper deck. And I sat down in the chair, and I took a deep breath, and I said, okay, God, so far, I have not said anything to Kimberly and Anna that I regret. I want to use these next 15 minutes on this boat just to calm myself, get myself together so I can be pleasant for them when we get off. No sooner had I said this prayer, I'm not kidding, this is true, I felt a tap on my shoulder. And I looked, and it is Kimberly, and she says, do you want us to sit with you? There was only one nice thing I could say, no. So she went back downstairs, and I went upstairs, and finally got ourselves together, and we had a great rest of the trip. But I tell you that story because what was I feeling for Kimberly, and what was Kimberly feeling for me in that moment? Were we hearing music play and birds sing? No. Did we just want to embrace each other and hold each other all night long? No. Was I having any real feeling of love for Kimberly? Was she having any real feeling for love for me in that moment? No. Did we stop loving each other in that moment? No. If love is feelings, then yes. But if love is something more, then no. Because what if the truth is, Kimberly and I's love for each other in those kind of moments are more real than in the moment when we had our first kiss together? Because contrary to what our culture communicates, at no other time do we uncover what real love is, like when we don't feel it at all, or when what we feel doesn't feel good. You see, contrary to what our culture communicates, we don't uncover what real love is until someone rubs us the wrong way or someone even deeply hurts us. I ask you, who rubs you the wrong way? I mean, they just get under your skin and irritate the heck out of you. Don't say it. Don't let people look at each other trying to... This is not a time to confess who those people are. You're like, oh, I'll tell you. I'll stand up. No, we don't want that. We're in church, for heaven's sake. Who rubs you the wrong way? And then, not so funny, who deeply hurts you? Perhaps it's someone in your past. A parent who has abused you. A teacher who berails you in front of everybody. A spouse who betrayed you. A business partner who bailed on you and left you to pick up all the pieces. Maybe it's somebody in your present. A friend who owes you money and just drove by in a brand new car. Your spouse who feels more like a stranger. Your circle of friends, they go away on a getaway weekend. Guess who they didn't invite? You. The children you raised act as though you do not exist. How does that feel? Forget the churchy, nice, flowery answers that we're taught to give and just be honest. How does it feel? It hurts. It makes me angry. A part of you feels broken. A part of you feels bitter. A part of you wants to cry, and a part of you wants to fight. Now you have a choice to make. Do I put out the fire, or do I keep it up? Do I get even, or do I get over it? Do I love, or do I despise? Now, if love is a feeling, there's no choice for you to make. You are simply held hostage to the negative feelings that you are feeling, and you must live that way to the day you die. But what if love at those times has the chance to be more powerful in your life than you could ever begin to imagine? In fact, that's what Jesus promises in Matthew chapter 5. I'd encourage you to take out your bullets and look on the back of that with me. Matthew chapter 5. And then as a reminder that we are called to stand upon God's word, would you stand up as we remind ourselves to stand on the promises of God? Let me read this to you. Words of Jesus. You're familiar with the old written law. Love your friend, and its unwritten companion, hate your enemy. I am challenging that. I am telling you to love your enemies. Let them bring out the best in you, not the worst. And when someone gives you a hard time, respond with the energies of prayer. For then you are working out your true selves, your God-created selves. This is what God does. He gives his best, the sun to warm, the rain to nourish, to everyone, regardless of if they're good or bad, or nice or nasty. If all you do is love the lovable, do you expect a bonus? Anybody can do that. If you simply say hello to those who greet you, do you expect a medal? Any run-of-the-mill sinner does that. In a word, what I'm saying is, grow up. You are kingdom subjects. Now live like it. Live out your God-created identity. Live generously and graciously towards others the way God lives towards you. Thank you. You may be seated. Our culture says love is a feeling. Jesus says love is something you do.